Hello and welcome to the Gonzales Mitchell Show. I'm Clay Mitchell.
And I'm Patrick Gonzales.
And today, Patrick and I have a special guest. We're going to be speaking with Barry Donadio, who is a former Secret Service agent. He was on the Presidential Protection Detail and has an illustrious career both in the military and law enforcement and in private business. Barry, welcome to the Gonzales Mitchell Show.
Thank you both for having me. I'm very appreciative. I am also a fan of your show. I think what you're doing is great, and I think you should keep making more shows and keeping your audience informed, especially here in Maryland, the local audience. You cover local topics that I appreciate as well. So thank you for what you guys do.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Barry. And Patrick, that's the way to get invited back to the show is to thank us like that. I'm just
I
putting that
know
out
that
there.
just for any future references you want to. Yeah, that's excellent.
Well, Barry, your career goes back a long ways. I think you when we were talking earlier, you said you were in the military at age 17 or 18 years old. Why don't you start up there and tell us everything you can about your career?
Sure. I started in the Army National Guard infantry at the age of 17. 1 month after I turned 17, I went down and had to have my mother sign to let me join the military. I was still in 11th grade in high school. The Army had a great program which was called the Split Option Training Program, and where you signed up, you joined, you were in the military. You went away to your basic training, where I went to Fort Benning, Georgia, and I did the basic training, and then came back, finished my 12th grade year of school while still being in the National Guard, and then you went after high school and you completed your advanced infantry training school. I was the only kid in my high school up Compsawag High School up on Long Island, New York, Fort Jeff Station. So I was very proud to do that, and a pioneer of that program, I guess, in my school anyway. After that, I joined the Army Reserve Military Police, 340th Military Police Company, Jamaica, Queens, New York. I'm very proud to have served there and conducted law enforcement operations at Fort Taunton, which is also in Queens, over by the Throgs Neck Bridge, LaGuardia Airport. After that, in about 1994, I joined the 106 Security Police, which is the Air Force Police, and I ended up getting a full-time position there, active guard reserve position, AGR, and full-time security police law enforcement officer on that base, where I started to do a lot of fun and exciting things at the 106 Rescue Wing, Francis Gabreski Air National Guard Base in West Hampton Beach. My first contact with the U.S. president was Bill Clinton. So he would fly in there from time to time, as well as Al Gore. And I was a key person in providing protection to him while he was at the base, along with the Secret Service and other local forces, Southampton Town Police, Suffolk County Police. So that was kind of like how I got close to U.S. presidents, started doing presidential security, made friends with some of the Secret Service agents, and I took a vacation down to Washington, D.C., and met with one of the Secret Service people there, and he told me, "Hey, you should come and join us." And I said, "Well, I'm not going to go and move down here." I was doing very well at the time on Long Island, very happy, and I think I just filled out the application at one point, sent it in, and next thing you knew, I was working at the Oval Office at the White House. It happened that quickly.
Wow.
There was some things in between that, though. We had September 11th, 2001, and a lot of people don't realize that the Secret Service had an office at Number 7 World Trade Center, and I did some of my processing for my application for the Secret Service right there. I was there in July 2001, right before the attacks. So it was an interesting time in history. We dealt with the September 11th attacks, and then moving beyond that, by 2002 in May, I was in the United States Secret Service and served under the Bush and Obama administrations. I competed to get on what's called the Emergency Response Team, which is Special Operations Division of the Secret Service. An emergency response team is a tactical team where I was armed with a P-90 submachine gun at all times. And my primary responsibility was responding to tactical threats to the President of the United States. After the Secret Service and after all of my government employment, I semi-retired and I opened up my own private security and investigation firm, Public Security LLC. You see it here in Maryland. It's also up in New York. And we also do firearms training. I'm a pistol instructor for all the local residents here in Maryland, and you name it, private investigation, criminal intelligence, private security, executive protection. We protect some politicians here in Maryland as well. So it's very exciting. I find myself doing almost the same amount of work in my private security company that I did when I was law enforcement. So that's the world we live in today. I've written 7 books. They're all found on Amazon.com. And I dabble in politics a little bit. I'm the current Sergeant at Arms of the Maryland Republican Party. I had been elected to the Queen Anne's County Republican Central Committee, and most recently, in May, I received over 50,000 votes in Maryland's first congressional district as an alternate delegate to the RNC. So I just spent a whole bunch of time in Milwaukee. I was there for President Trump's first private appearance after his first assassination attempt. So I was there with him for that, in a very small audience in a theater over there. So I've had a very good life, very interesting life, and got a lot of stories for grandkids.
Well, being a political junkie, I know nothing about the detail. I understand the importance of what you do, but on a human interaction level, Barry, I'm just fascinated by all the people you met, and I want to hear more. So,
I've met Jennifer Lopez. I've met the Foo Fighters music group. Anybody who comes to the White House to visit presidents, baseball teams, astronauts, Medal of Honor winners. Really, really cool and exciting place to work. That's where all the news originates from, right there at the White House. That's ground zero for what's going on right there. And you know it first because you're there every day. I got to meet a tremendous amount of people. George Bush Sr. Was one of my favorites. He's very tall. He doesn't look that tall on camera, I should say, but he dominated me. He's pretty tall. And even George Bush Jr. was taller than me as well. You get to meet the the presidential pets as well. So these are kind of interesting things to talk about, when you get to work at the White House, and, who can say they've walked around in the Rose Garden and all that. So very cool. I love the history personally. I'm very much into history. So I've walked around the White House a lot, just admiring the history of it as well.
Now, Barry, one of the things I think is fascinating about your career, and you wrote a book about this, was your involvement investigating the Flight 300 crash. Gosh, that's going back over 20 years ago now, isn't it?
Sure. It's TWA Flight 800.
800, I'm sorry.
And it crashed in Long Island. It is shrouded in mystery. I didn't so much investigate it. What I did do, though, I was a member of the East Meriches Community Volunteer Ambulance, which is where the plane crash occurred. I had already been a seasoned firefighter up in Long Island, volunteer fireman, for about 6 years prior to that, and had recently become an EMT, where I specifically only rode the ambulance. Very rewarding, and I hope anybody listening to this interview really considers becoming a volunteer firefighter or EMT. You're going to be helping, and you're going to be learning. You're going to get some experiences that can't be taught in any college. Okay, so go and do that if you're thinking of doing it, and give me a call and let me know how your progress is doing. It's very exciting to do. But that night, that plane crashed, and we were a small ambulance district. We had only 2 ambulances in a garage and 2 first responder units, which one was a truck, one was a old Crown Victoria, and I have pictures of. And needless to say, we had pagers, and that call came over as a plane crash, and never expected it to be a huge plane because there was a small airport in our district. So every once in a while, small planes would crash, small Cessna, or have a crash landing. But when that first call came out, they didn't say 747. They just said a plane crash. And so what we did, we responded to the East Merchants Coast Guard Station, which was the staging area to receive survivors. The plane crashed in the water. So when we originally went down to the Coast Guard Station, we were expecting survivors. We set up a triage, and I was excited that night because I was kind of new as an EMT, and I wanted to save lives. So for me, this was about proving myself, getting stuff. We were going to come out on top of this. We were going to save lives, and we knew there'd be casualties, but I was hoping we were going to really do some good work. And then, as the night progressed, the sad truth started to hit us that really nobody survived. It was a very horrible evening. And I saw a lot of the bodies. And unfortunately, when we're talking about death of that magnitude, death doesn't discriminate. And very terrible. And I'm still sorry. I'm still praying for the families that are affected by that whole crash.
Oh, I remember seeing that on the news that
Yes.
day, and you just knew. You just knew in your heart of hearts when you saw the video something very bad just happened. What year was that? Refresh my memory. That was 20
Was it 97, 96?
It was in 96.
96.
96.
For some reason, I thought it was 22 or 3 years ago. My gosh. Can you tell us a little bit more about, obviously there was the two assassination attempts against President Trump, about the Secret Service, what their role is in that, and what your thoughts are on, if you can, on how they did or didn't do. From your perspective, can you tell us a bit more about what went on those 2 days?
Sure. Obviously, not the result they wanted, right? And we have to understand, though, that a president, there are different security packages for different people that the Secret Service protects. Can't elaborate on that entirely, other than to say you have, President Joe Biden gets full presidential protection. Former presidents get protection by the Secret Service. It is just different. Even the vice president is different. Presidential candidate is different. So you have different levels of security. They're not the same as the president. Okay, so for that event, in my opinion, he had more security than usual former presidents get because, if you were to go and look at, for instance, Clinton right now, I don't think he would even have. He may now after this event, but he wouldn't have the same protection. Threat levels are different. Threat levels have a lot to do with it as well. The protective detail that was with him did exactly what they were supposed to do. Once the shots were fired, we have to look back, and I've said this from day one. This was most likely communications error, and that's now what we're seeing. With the congressional reports that come out, and the director Rowe, who I believe has been very transparent and has done a great job doing the best he can with what he's able to talk about. But this really just comes down to the roof not being covered. I believe somebody was assigned to that roof, whoever it may be. They weren't up there, and that's the bottom line. If you're not going to be up there, then you better darn well make sure there's access deniability. So that wasn't achieved either. There seems to have been an overwatch by the local police, and certainly there's an overwatch by the Secret Service counter snipers. But remember, they're looking out away from the president, so they have a lot to look at. The whole situation, unfortunately, there in Butler, Pennsylvania, it happened so fast that I don't think that the communication kept up with the situation quick enough. I have heard, a lot of things. Well, the police were ignoring that people were saying a man was up there. That is not the case. If you look at the videos, they were addressing the man. There was about 30 local SWAT team members running to that roof right prior to the shots being fired. So it's an unfortunate series of events, whether it's a miscommunication where the communications just couldn't keep up with the situation and get to the right people in order to evacuate the president off the stage quick enough. You also have to understand that there may have been other authorized police officers seeing the assailant on the roof and may have thought he was a police officer up there. He had a military grade rifle, not a sniper rifle, but we have to understand snipers don't come all the time in clean cut uniformed people. Some police snipers are also anti drug agents, they're undercover. And for that day, they're covering an assignment as a sniper. They could have long hair, jeans, a baseball cap turned around, and just look exactly like the assailant. So the Secret Service snipers have to be very, very careful of who they're going to potentially pull the trigger on. So I think that was a factor too. They may have seen him, and then in the moments of verifying exactly who he is up there, it probably just happened too fast. So the verification process was slowed, the communication process was slowed, and then the series of events to where that roof wasn't covered maybe as well as it should have been, which has led to it. And I don't think it's really anybody's fault. I just think it's kind of like a plane crash where if you look at an investigation of a plane crash, it's like 2 or 3 things that just happen to happen right at the same moment for that plane to go down. A plane doesn't go down because of one shortcoming. It goes down for multiple shortcomings and if it didn't happen at that same exact moment, it would have been fine. So unfortunately, that's what happened. Once the shots rang out, I saw the officers and agents. Everybody did exactly what they were supposed to do. I've heard the criticism about our female agents. I think anybody who partakes in that should really be ashamed of themselves. Those female agents belong to us. They're government agents. They belong to you, me, and everybody watching. We shouldn't be quarterbacking them. We shouldn't be criticizing them the way they are. Our female agents, I saw them do what they were supposed to do. There were no acts of cowardice. I know that everybody's focused on the one female agent that doesn't reholster her pistol quick enough for them. But I ask you this question. Did she get the pistol out quick enough? She got it out. That's what I care about. She could take her time putting it away. Okay. So these are things that, I've addressed over the news over the past month, and it's been quite talking points. The second assassination attempt, I see, was trying to be spinned into a Secret Service failure, it is not. The Secret Service detected this person. They detected him. They prevented the president from being hurt. Not only that, between the Secret Service and the local police forces, they were able to apprehend this man without getting anybody hurt. I mean, that's a good day for law enforcement in general. So, good day for Secret Service. They did exactly what they were supposed to do there. Local law enforcement couldn't have done it without them there. And then we have to also thank the citizen that called in the plate, and called in a description. They probably would still be looking for this guy if a citizen didn't, get a plate number and a description and call 911. And so that was a happy ending overall. I was very concerned by the second Butler appearance. I see they had him in the bulletproof ballistic glass. That was a call I would have made. I would have had an entire SWAT team on top of that same very roof where the assailant was during the assassination attempt. There would be nothing left to chance. And I would have declared that event in a small form a national special security event because of the threat or potential threat to democracy itself. We have to understand, I want the same protection for all these candidates. Trump, Harris, they need to be protected the same, because in my line of work, my profession, my job, or would have been my job, to protect these candidates, and in a nonpartisan way. My integrity would be on the line. So I would want them both protected that way. We have to understand, if either one of them get hurt, a hair on their head damaged, it could go into a spiral into political violence or even periods of anarchy. The political tension is so high in this country right now. So I want them both protected. I want voters to be able to choose who's going to be the next president of the United States fairly and safely. So that's where I stand on that.
I have no doubt that the Secret Service agents take their job seriously. Nobody wants this to happen. And Patrick and I have talked offline before about this. If something happened to one of them, like you said, Barry, the cascading events to come from that would be very ugly. So to say that Secret Service, the agents in the field didn't, were lackadaisical, I don't believe that for a second.
Yeah, well, thank
Um,
you. Thank you for your support there. The majority of Americans that I speak to that are not on TV, they side with us. Like they don't understand also what the criticism's all about. Maybe it's newsworthy to criticize and do stuff like that, but we have to also understand these are human beings. They have families. They go home. They have to live with the criticism and stuff. It would be an awesome betrayal to jump on the president of the United States, save his life, and then receive nothing but criticism from the
right.
media after that. That would be a real slap in the face. So, I'll thank those agents or the female agents. They can be my partner anytime. I trust them with my life. I don't know any of them personally. I think I have had some interaction with the detail lead, and I don't even recall his name. But I'm not sticking up for anybody because I know them. That's for sure. It's just that's just the way I feel. So I just think as Americans, we need to back our special agents. We need to back our Secret Service 100% because they're backing us. They're backing us with their lives, and they're backing. They're protecting these candidates. They're not wired politically. Their DNA, the DNA, and all the Secret Service people are not political. They want to protect whoever's the president, whoever their protectee is. That's all they care about, and they don't fear anything. The only thing they fear is failure. Okay, they don't fear about losing their lives. It's not even in their calculation. As you could see when those agents jumped up and covered Trump, they didn't look scared to me. They looked like they wanted to do their job. So that's something that we all need to be focusing on, and hopefully your viewers agree with us here on this. And it means a lot to me that you guys support that and everything and what I'm saying. It's very important.
Well, Barry, we appreciate you being with us today. We're going to have you back on at one point to talk about some other event that may happen. Who knows? Hopefully, it's a good thing. And we'll have you back on to talk about it. I'd also like to talk to you a bit more about your career in another episode. So, that
I'd love
being
to
said,
do that.
that's all we can do for today. Barry, it's time to say goodbye,
Goodbye,
Patrick.
right? Goodbye, Patrick.
Goodbye, Patrick, and thank you, Barry.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Thank you, Barry. Goodbye, Patrick.